Hello and welcome to the Frugability Track and Stack Cash Flow Tracker tutorial. It's kind of a long name. Maybe I need to shorten that up. But I want to get you started as quick as possible. So you've clicked on the link that you've got for purchasing the tracker. And so now you've opened up this sheet that you see in front of you. Okay. First thing you got to do is log into your Google account. If you're not logged into your Google account, you'll be in a read-only version of this template that you can't edit. And you'll have to request me for edit access. You don't want to do that because that's the template. I'm not going to give anybody edit access. That's the one that everybody downloads. So what you want to do is log into your Google account, go to File, make a copy. Okay, save it to whatever you want. Save it to Joe's tracker, whatever you want to call it, and then hit OK. All right, and that'll bring up a new screen for you with a new sheet that you can edit. And so this is where you really get started. If you prefer Excel, you can go to File, Download Microsoft Excel, and that'll give you the Excel version if you have Excel on your computer. I do recommend using a regular computer, Mac or PC, instead of a mobile device for this. I think it's a good habit to do some things off of our mobile devices outside of them and do them on a little different format. And it also creates the habit of sitting down at a computer and doing some of this real work. I think it's a good habit to get into. You can do it on mobile if you want. It's just going to be a little more difficult on a small screen, but you can do it. Okay, so you've got the spreadsheet open. First decision you have to make is, do you run everything through one checking account in one place, or do you spend on credit cards, debit cards, all over the place? It's up to you how you want to do this. I find it easier to run everything through one checking account with one debit card, and so I balance my checking account on the right side of this sheet. You don't have to do this. This is optional. If you don't run everything through one account, just skip this step, ignore this whole right side, and move on. No big deal. However, I'm going to show this. Let's say my checking account balance is $1,000 as of today to start this. Actually, at the end of yesterday would be what you're looking at. So at the end of last night, put in your balance and then move forward. We'll tie this out later. I'll show you how to tie that all out. So for most of us, we want to use this to track our daily income and our daily expenses. And I love the daily aspect. I wanted everything to be on one sheet and to be daily. I needed a daily check-in to make sure I was putting everything in to the tracker that I wanted to account for and tally up every month. And so this is as simple as it gets. It's one sheet. Every single day is here. So what you're going to do is you're going to go either open your bank account register or your credit card statement online or whatever, wherever you're doing your spending, and you want to enter those transactions right here. Now, I'm a big fan of doing it manually. I don't like services that download my transactions for me. There's a disconnect there. I don't really like to give my login information to people. A lot of reasons, but I think this method works the best because it creates a step for me to be in touch with my money. And I have to enter my transactions by hand without downloading or anything. And if I have so many that I need to download and I can't enter, I got a problem, right? Like if I can enter 5 transactions in a day in like 2 minutes on here. If I've got 20 or 30 a day, maybe I'm swiping my card too much. But the key to this sheet, number one thing to remember, is everything that you enter goes below this orange line. Everything above here is just information that's going to help you make decisions. Down here is where you enter your data. And if you need more room on your screen, you can just go over here, click this button, and hide that section. So give you a little bit more room. I'll open that back up in a little bit, but it gives me more room to work here. And so what I'd like to do is show you some data entry to get started. So let's say it's the first of the month and I got a paycheck, and I made $1,500, right? Not 15,000, 1,500. Okay. So I've got positive cash flow of $1,500 over here. Okay, right? That's good news. Good news. Okay. So blue, good. Everything's positive, right? Okay. So then my mortgage payment's due today. Let's say it's $500, right? Wishful thinking. But bear with me. It's just an example. Okay. So my cash flow for today is $1,000. My cash flow for the month of November is $1,000. My cash flow for the whole time I've been running this is $1,000. So that tells me what I need. So far, I've kept 66.7% of my income but that's going to change obviously every day. So no worries. So now we've got that. That's it. That's all you have to do every day is put in any income or any expenses. Let's say tomorrow I do an Instacart order. I go out and I make $50. Okay, I got some side gig income. But also I go grocery shopping for myself and I spend $100. Okay. So now I've got negative cash flow for tomorrow, positive for today, total positive cash flow still up here. Okay. So no problem. We're doing good, right? We're doing good. So every day, open this up, put your transactions in. Honestly, it takes a minute as long as your stuff's not all over the place. If it's all over the place, you might want to think about simplifying down to a single point of spending and moving in. So what I've done is I have all my money flow through one checking account, and that way it's easy to track even my business stuff. So I track my business stuff here. This becomes a business tracker because I'll put my business expense over here in these categories. So you're putting in your daily expenditures. You can do credit cards, debit cards by pulling up the statements. Now, cash is a little different. I choose to not track my cash down to the dollar. I just don't want to. I don't want to whip out a note card and track what I spend. I use cash as sort of a miscellaneous. So what I do is at the beginning of the month, I'll take out like $200 cash and I'll just put $200 here in cash. And I don't account for that anywhere else. It's just in my cash. Bin here. If you want to get more detailed and say, well, that I spent 20 of that on, food, and I spent 40 of it on, going to a game or going to the movies or whatever. That's fine too. I prefer not to do that. I just allocate $200 in cash. It's kind of miscellaneous. I spend it on whatever I want to, and I roll with it. I don't stress. But if you're really tight and things are rough in your budget for the current month, I would recommend maybe digging in there a little bit. I don't use cash a lot, mostly just like, buying gum or at the gas station or small expenditures, or I do pay for a few things in cash, like my son's jiu-jitsu. The instructor prefers cash, things like that, or I pay somebody to mow my lawn, or my cleaning lady, those sorts of things. If it's something big like that, I'll break it out and put it here, but cash, try to keep it simple. I'm a big fan of that. Let's keep things simple. And so that's it. That's the simplicity of this spreadsheet, is the fact that these numbers go in so simply once a day for a couple minutes, and everything's tracked for you up here. Okay. It's not cumbersome. It looks a little bit daunting at first, but once you get to understand and know the spreadsheet, it really does start to feel like a comfort level. You start to know where your money's going. You start to picture yourself putting these, as you're swiping your debit card, that later that night you're going to be putting that entry into the sheet and you're going to see these numbers change, and it starts to change the way you think. And so most of my clients save $500 a month or more just by changing the way they think and finding things that are recurring expenses that they just want to get rid of. And so I hope the same holds true for you. And so you put these in now by categories. The categories you can change. So this yellow, see all these categories here? You can change these, and they'll change up here too because they're linked. So if you want to change this to different buckets, be my guest. I put the main buckets. This is how I like to bucket things. So like home is my mortgage payment. For the most part, I just stick with mortgage payment over there. If it's something related to home, like home repairs and things, I kind of like to break that out. So that's my home. That's my mortgage. Transport is my car payment, and my gas, my fuel, and things like that. Any oil changes, whatnot. So I just want to see how much it's costing me every month to own and operate a vehicle, essentially. I do put my car insurance in here. You can choose not to do that. Some people like to break out insurance as a separate category. Either way is fine. I like it because it's really my transportation budget includes insurance. So I want to know my full number of transport. Food, you can break this out between eating out and groceries. I prefer to just do one category for food. If it's getting a little high in the month, I kind of can tell it's a lot of eating out and whatnot. But if you want to break those out easily, I will show you in a sec. You can add categories. Debt payments, things like credit card payments, student loans, anything that I'm paying on a debt on. I hate debt. I think this category should be zero at some point in our lives. I do have a 0% card for a TV purchase that I'm paying because I just chose not to part with the cash. So that goes into debt payment. Utilities, I put cell phone in here, internet, gas, electric, trash, water, etc. You might want to put some of that in home if you want to bucket everything together. I like utilities separate. It's a big variable expense. It's something that changes a lot every month, and so I like to see where it's going. Subscriptions, so like Netflix, Apple iCloud, Hulu, whatever. Digital subs is what I view this as, kind of a catch-all category for all these subscriptions that we have now in this subscription life. Now I try to keep them to a minimum, but I do have Hulu and Netflix and iCloud and a few others. So it is what it is. Personal. Now you go to the grocery store, and I don't break out my grocery budget too much between food and personal, because like I go to the grocery store and I might buy, $100 worth of food, and then I buy $30 worth of shampoo and Tylenol and whatnot, and all those like personal items, or maybe a new t-shirt or something. I don't know. I don't break that out too much, but I do use this personal category for when it's very explicitly personal items, like going and clothes shopping for $200. I'll put that here. Getting a haircut, I'll put here. Different things like that. I put gym membership in personal, that sort of thing. So you might want more detail than that. I like to keep things simple. So cash I covered. If I take cash out and I don't really want to allocate it elsewhere, I'll just put it here, and it's kind of like my spending money out of my wallet. I don't think too much about it. Insurance. I have life insurance going through here. That's about it. My car insurance goes through the transport category. My home insurance goes through home. So this is mostly my life insurance. I'm not really sure. I don't like that bucket. There's not much going through there. Fun. I have one in my own that's called golf. So because I like to see how much I spend on golf in a year. But you can do whatever you want. I call it fun. Kids are just like these miscellaneous things, like $100 for the kids to play soccer, $50 for a new band piece for a band instrument, blah blah blah. There's always something, so I put that there. Giving for any donations and things like that. Try to boost that category. I've been lacking. I got to get on that. Business expense. So I personally use this sheet to track all of my business expenses. I don't need QuickBooks and all that fancy stuff because my businesses are fairly straightforward. I run an offline bookkeeping business that pays me once a month. I've got this Frugability business. I do some side gig stuff, but I put all the business expenses here. It's very easy to keep track of, so I know what my expenses are for the year, and I can match those up against my business income over here. And know where my businesses stand. So that's pretty easy. I have a category for Amazon, or you could call it online shopping. I like to call it Amazon because Amazon gets away from you quick, and it seems so painless to order that you don't realize how much you're ordering. So I keep Amazon up there as a reminder to myself to look out for the runaway Amazon spending. But I don't not use Amazon. I think it's just wildly convenient and helpful, and so I do shop on there, but this keeps me in check. Travel, with COVID, not much going on there, but someday maybe we'll be back to traveling. I like to track how much I spend on travel there. And repairs, you can call this whatever you want. This is for things that come up that are unexpected, in my opinion, especially home related, like a new hot water heater, $900 last year. I had to get some new carpet in the basement. I got to get a new lawnmower, whatever. These little things, I call them repairs. Same thing with cars. There's always something that comes up. And I sort of like to bucket it as this unexpected category. Now there's a bunch of categories you can change over here. I put miscellaneous. I put you 5 so you can add some if you want. If you want to add eating out, you want to add a little bit more detail to your different expenses, or you have different hobbies or whatever, you want to put those, track them here. It should work just fine. You can always add, right click here and insert a column and add your own if you run out of space here. But I tried to add 5 more so you won't have to do that. So that covers income, expenses. So you can see this is bucketed by income. which is here, the green, and then the expenses, which is the yellow, and the blue, which is your savings. Okay, so the savings is optional. It only really matters if you're balancing your checkbook, because you need to know money leaving your checking account to go into savings needs to be accounted for. And so, let me back up here. So income goes in as a positive number. You have that here. Expenses go in as negative numbers because they're outflows. So inflows, outflows. Savings, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it goes in as a negative number because it's leaving your checking account. So if I move $100 to Robinhood, I put minus 100, okay? And so now you see that pulls my balance down. So my checking account balance changes with the entries I put in here. And then I go to my banking app at the end of the day, and I say, oh, my balance is $1,700. Okay, this difference is 0. Done. No big deal, right? So I've balanced it out. I know I've accounted for everything. I can save and close the sheet, move on to the next day. No stress. All right. You can use this for transfers between accounts. If you want to keep balancing the checkbook, you're going to have to account for transfers in and out of your checking that might not go anywhere. It might not be, you might not want to count it as an expense. And so the way the cash flow part works, this cash flow total only picks up income and expenses. It doesn't take into account things like going to savings, because that's not a cash outflow. It's an outflow out of your account, but it is not a cash outflow from your life. It's still in your life, so it won't be picked up here. Okay, so if you don't want to see all the detail, you want to see everything kind of nice and neat, you can hide. I put these little hider bars in here where you can hide different things to make it a little bit more clean to see cash flow, income, expenses by day and across the board. Just see where you stand at any given time. So let's open everything back up. And so you've got monthly cash flow, overall cash flow. A couple other features I've added. So this frugability factor, this number right here. Okay, that's how many months of expenses on average you have in your checking account right now. I love this piece because, I think we should all shoot for about 3 months of expenses in our checking account. I know some people say it should be an emergency fund. I love having money in my checking. Like, I just love knowing when I write a check or I pay a bill, man, there's enough money in there. No sweat, right? And so this frugability factor number takes your average monthly expenses, which it'll be a little skewed at first because it's averaging your first month, which might not be totally complete. But after a couple of months, this will start to come into play. And your frugability factor, I have 2.13 months of expenses as of today in my checking. I mean, it's a little skewed until you get more data in here, but keep an eye on this. This is something that will come into play later. So that's calculated over here on a daily basis. And whatever day it is, the date will update, and it'll pull the latest frugability factor. That's a big one for me. I really focus more on that number than anything. That's why I put it up in the top left here. First thing you see, I want to get that number as high as I can. 3 months would be great. All right, what's next? Let's see. So the savings rate right here, this is how much of your income is still in your hands. So 48%. So, as you expend, obviously this will go down. So let's say I make a $100 payment. Okay, that goes down to 41%. But this is kind of a running total of how much of my income am I saving? How much am I not spending? If it's positive, then you're, spending less than you earn. Great. The more positive it is, the better. 10% is good. 25% is really good. You'll see this number, and it might be negative. This has been negative for me in the past. And it's a little tough to see that I'm spending more than I make, but it's happened. Life happens, and I've had to battle through some things, and I had to know. And that's the key to this tracker, is it tells you what you need to know to make changes. It's not going to make the changes for you. It's not going to make you rich, but it tells you what you need to know. This is your vitals. This is the most vital statistic you have in your financial life, is your cash flow. If you're bleeding cash or if you're accumulating cash, makes all the difference. More cash equals more opportunity. Negative cash flow means you're in trouble and need to make some changes. So I want that to be as apparent as possible on this sheet. Okay, so that pretty much covers the entire sheet. It's very simple. It's one worksheet. There's no complexities to it. If you want, just hide this section. Just focus on below the orange line, putting in 1 day at a time, and just fill this in. For the first month, I suggest you just fill this in every day. Don't try to make any decisions or anything. Just every day put in all of your entries for your income and your expenses and see where things start to fall out, and stick with it. That's the key. Accountability, stick with it. First week will be fun. You'll be excited. The second week gets tougher. If you can make it through the third week, you're home free and you're not going to give up on this. Pick a time in the day, I should say. I do mine first thing in the morning. I grab a cup of coffee, I open it up, I entered the previous day's transactions, boom, I'm done. I know exactly where I stand financially when I start each day, and I know I've done my financial task of the day to track everything. Feel free to reach out. I'm here all the time on email. If you have questions, happy to answer. I love this sheet. It's going to do great things for you. It's done great things for me. I'm so happy about it. Third year just keeps getting better and better. And happy tracking.